Alright guys, I'm just pulling up my other screen. So I can see y'all's comments. How's everyone's weekend going so far? All right. So I'm going to give it just a few more minutes. See if anybody else hops on. Since I think a big part. Oh, turn my volume off. So I think a big part of the plaid tumblers that people like to see is the taping. So since that's the first thing we're going to do. Okay. Sorry, get you back up to my face. There. Let's see. I don't know if this light makes any difference. I need to get a better fixture. Hello, Deborah. Kind of crooked. You're not gonna have to look at me for very long though, so that's okay. We are doing plaid. So this was my tester cup. With glitters from one of our affiliates, Blue Spring Bling. So these are the colors that I used on that one for my tester cup. So Plum Passion, which is gorgeous. I should have used it in a different place. Then Copper Kettle. And Thanos' Gauntlet. This holographic gold is life. It is so pretty. Look at it. Looky, looky, looky. On the tumbler I'm doing today, I am going to be using one different color just because I really need to use this. It is Onyx. So I'm going to be doing another 3-color plaid, and I'm going to use Onyx too. I think, haven't decided, y'all can help me. I think I'm going to do these 3 together on this cup. What do y'all think? Or do you think I should replace one of these with the gold? Opinions? Yes. So this is prepped tumbler. It is not base coated. So this is direct on stainless. One coat of glitter on all these colors. Isn't that amazing? These glitters are awesome. So it also has 1 coat of epoxy on it. It has not been sanded, but we're going to add some more stripes to this later after we apply to our new tumbler. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Our numbers are on and off and up and down, so I think people are popping on, but I know some folks may be working or busy. So again, I am going to be using a prepped but not painted tumbler. This was my painted buffalo plaid that I had posted, and I was not happy with it, so I sanded it down today. In all actuality, if I wasn't going live, I probably just would have left it and then just glittered directly over it, but because they were different colors, I didn't want that to visually be confusing for y'all. And then again, this is a 3-color glitter plaid, but I will call out the step for if you are doing a buffalo plaid and mixing your red and black glitter. I will kind of speak to that, but I would like to do a separate live for that one. Or if one of you would like to do it, you could do that too. All right. Any questions off the bat? If not, I'm gonna get started. But first I'm gonna grab my Mod Podge because that's necessary. And the only thing, well, Mod Podge and brushes, because it's the only things I didn't set over to the side. Mod Podge, and I do put my Mod Podge in a smaller cup. The reason I put my Mod Podge in a smaller cup, hey Karen, for the glitter plaids, I get my stool in the right place, is to avoid glitter contamination into my master. Hey Brittany. So the brush that I'm using, it is a flat Plaid brand, and the reason that I am using these, you can use the foam brushes, but the reason I am using this is because it is really close to the size of my tape. So when I'm going back through and hand painting the squares, I don't have to worry about this being too big, and I also don't have to sit there and go like this like 3 or 4 times if it was a really small brush. So it just makes applying the Mod Podge for those squares a lot easier, in my opinion. And I am using just plain Scotch tape. I have an overabundance of it and I'm trying to use it up. When I base coat my cups and paint them, I do not use this. I will use painter's tape, or I will use washi tape. Works as well if you've got a washi tape that's the right thickness for you. But since I am not base coating mine, I don't have to worry about potentially tape pulling up the paint. So I'm going to use this. All right, I am going to, let me, I'm going to point you back down. Let's see, do we need more light? Is that too bright? Or is that good? I feel like that was too bright when I was looking at it on my computer. Okay, so as far as putting your tape on, mine are not 100% super precise. I know a lot of people will go through and do the math, but what I have found is on a lot of these tumblers, especially the curves, it's just not exact. So rather than spending all that time and trying to come up with something that works perfectly, as you can see, I don't have any areas that are just massively different. So as you can see, I kind of crisscross. So I'm going to use this as an example. So I'm going to take a piece of tape, I'm going to go across, and then I'm going to eyeball it and eyeball it. So to do this, I'm going to stand up so I can get my bird's eye view. So I'm just going to take the tape, and it needs to be at least twice the length because I'm going over the top for this. So I'm going to start there. It's going to go down. Now, while I'm not super concerned about all of these being the exact same size, what I am most concerned with is getting these as straight as possible. So if you have a laser level, you can use that to make sure that these are nice and straight. But what I do, I have this T-ruler, and I will place it at the top, and then I will use this as my guide. And then bottom, and then just flatten down the sides of my tape. Okay. Up against that edge, and then down. So, especially on these curves, it just helps me get better placement. But you don't have to do that. You can eyeball it as well, of course. But I like doing it this way. Okay, so that's my first one. 2 more pieces of tape. Okay. So now, doing this. So what I'm doing is I'm looking right here and right here, and trying to get both of these to be close to the width of my tape. Now, if you prefer and you want to be more precise about it, you can take a little piece of tape, and then use the edges that way. But you may run into the same issue where, based on the width of your tape, that it will not match up and you'll end up with two larger areas. So it kind of depends on your cup. So see, if we did that way, come through like that. So see, these are the width of the tape, these are the width of the tape. You see right here, I've got a little bit of an overlap. So really doing it this way, I eyeball it. But again, got a crinkle in my tape. And in case you were wondering, this is the same way that I started my painted. Buffalo plaid. There's just a part of the painted buffalo plaid where you have to retape over your previously taped lines, and mine did not come out so well on some of them, so I wanted to redo. Just so you know, I do not normally use my T-ruler with it laid down like this. I normally have it sitting up and then I rest it on top. So All right. And I just cut these. Now that we've got our vertical lines, we need to go and put our horizontal lines. Now this is a modern curve tumbler. So on these as well as the skinnies, I will either start from the bottom or the top, depending on how many times my tape will go. And if there's a larger section, I like to have the larger section be at the bottom. So, on here, this is what I did, just the width of the tape. This section right here is slightly larger. So, I start from the top. Now, if I was using one of the traditional style tapered tumblers, like the Ozark Trail, we'll actually start from the middle. Let me show you what I mean. So, I do not have any plain ones. This is just one of my ready to sell. So because it's got this large taper and I don't want to try to fit tape around it on top of it, what I will do is I will put a piece of tape here and then tape up, and then I will put a piece of tape here and then tape down, so that all of this sharp taper part is one color. And that's just the easiest way for me, instead of going through and trying to measure and get it just right. So on these, I start from the middle taping and go out. Hey Dawn, hey Misty. So we just taped our vertical stripes and we're getting ready to do our horizontal. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull several pieces of tape. I am struggling with tape today. Okay. So I'm going to start and just use the lip of the cup as my guide. I've already gone through and pressed all of these down to make sure that there's no lifting around the edges. And I always start and end on one of my vertical stripes, and then I just fold a little tabby so that it's easy for me to pull. So then I'm gonna have one piece of tape that I'm not pressing as I go down. This is really just a guide, so I really just wanna make sure that it lines up next to it. So there's that one, just for my guide. And here's the one I'm adhering. Now, in these modern curves, there may still be a couple areas where your tape is wanting to crease. All I do is I make sure that I push it flat on the stainless, and then I just push those creases here so that there aren't any areas where extra Mod Podge or glitter is going to get up underneath there where I don't want it to. Doesn't matter what the middle of your tape looks like, it just matters what your edges look like. That's down. I'm gonna pull this back off and then lay it right back down again as a guide for this one. Hello, Jennifer. So you see this last one, it's close, but it's just slightly bigger. And there we go. So I've got my easy pull tabs, and here's where our first color is going to go. So you gotta make a decision about what colors you're gonna put where. Now, if you are doing a traditional buffalo plaid, that mixed color is going to go on the outside of every one of your solid colors. So if we want to do comparison, if my purple or my plum passion is my black and my gold is my red, then the copper kettle is my blend. It's my medium color. So you see, this would be a solid, blend, 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 blend. Solid, blend, 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 blend. Solid, blend, 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 blend. So you do have to pay attention when you're hand painting for your middle color, which for this cup is actually going to be my purple passion, so I'm not mixing today. But you can see there's always one color that you see a lot less of. This is always the last color that you put on. So whatever color you want the least of, you're going to apply that last. Just based on your design. Does that make sense to everybody? So, let's see. I am going to do this awesome onyx that I'm real excited about. Going to do plum passion because it's gorgeous and I did not get enough of it on this cup. And then I think I'm going to do the copper kettle instead of Thanos' gauntlet, which is so gorgeous. But I feel like these together, you guys agree? Or should it be these together? Copper kettle or Thanos' gauntlet. You decide. You agree the copper kettle, Dawn? That's what I was thinking too. Okay. Now, this part is the entire reason why I'm doing the screen horizontally instead of vertically today, because I do it with my cup on my hand, which means it's sideways. It really is, Dawn. I completely agree. I feel like it's just one of these colors that, even though it's a great fall color, really it's year-round. And it's so hard to find a really good copper that's actually copper. I love this one. Absolutely love it. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and load up my brush. And I do quite a few in this step at once. Just good, thick layers of your Mod Podge. You want to make sure that you get good coverage all over, but especially in the corners, around the edges. Oh no, Mod Podge likes to dry around edges real quickly. And if you don't get good coverage, you'll have to go back through and do all those little edges, do a touch-up. Which isn't awful, you can do it fairly quickly, but it's a lot. I don't think I'm going to be accepting that challenge, Dawn, because I don't think it's possible. Oh, I didn't decide what color I wanted to do first. I'm gonna do Purple Passion first. No, I'm not. I'm doing my onyx first. Yeah, I'm no dummy, Dawn. Sometimes I do dumb things, but I'm not actually a dummy. Alright. Look. And look at that coverage. I said this is just straight on stainless. Alright. Ooh, onyx. I'm loving it. are now done with our black. Extras. So again, this is Onyx from Blue Spring. Now I'm just going to let this sit just for a minute. Now I do not go through and let this dry all the time or all the way. I don't find it necessary. You're just going to take up more time. And especially when you have glitters like this, as long as you're getting good coverage and you've got a good layer of Mod Podge. Oh, I touched it. Then I have not had an issue with major color contamination. Sorry, I was moving stuff around and I did a little ding. You're doing a coffee mug tomorrow? What kind of coffee mug? Yeah, I think just a solid color, like Michelle said. I know there's a few. I got one of the larger coffee mugs. They're kind of like coffee / beer mugs from Stainless Steel Depot, and they actually had removable handles, which was awesome because you'd have to worry about epoxying around them. Okay. So we're going to go back to my easy pull tabs. All right, so now we're going to go through and do these squares. See, I've got nice crisp lines. So I'm just going to be real careful with my brush to not overlap. So this would be, for those of you that might be doing a buffalo plaid, because it's solid, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 on all sides would be the mixed. So the mixed color. So if you were doing a buffalo plaid following this tutorial, the color you would put on next would be your blend between your red and your black glitter. But since I'm doing these, my middle or medium color is what I do next. And so that is going to be this beautiful Plum Passion. Isn't it awesome? And sorry, what I'm doing now is I am pinning, because I didn't do this at the beginning, the website and the coupon code for Blue Spring Bling. So let me just comment and pin. All right. So there is the website and coupon code is now right there. So they were super awesome to give us a discount code for all of your Blue Spring Bling purchases. So make sure that you take advantage, you use that code. So you can buy even more glitter, 10% more. Alright, so I'm going to start with my bottom. And what I do is I do the edges first on these. Again, you want to make good that it's real easy up at the edges to only put a little bit of Mod Podge, but you want to make sure that you're still getting that good coat all the way up to the edge. Then pull it down. Ooh la la! Aren't those two colors so pretty up next to each other? So now I'm going to start at one edge, then the other, and then just coat to mix in the middle. Excuse my dogs. They're kind of skittish. They like to alert me anytime they hear any noise in the house. If they can't see where the noise comes from, they bark. Entirely for my protection, I'm sure. I love plaid because I love fall. So these colors could not have possibly come at a better time. And to give me all the fall vibes. So who here has never done a plaid tumbler before? A glitter plaid tumbler? Has everyone done one, or is there anyone that is a total noob wanting to try it for the first time? It's totally okay to admit it. I just did my first mica cups. I'd never used mica on a tumbler before. But I got those from Simply Sarah. And now she's an affiliate too. And we love our affiliates, like Blue Spring Bling. If you want to see more of these glitters that I'm using today, all up close and personal, I did do a glitter mail live with them where I poured them out and played with them, and man, they are just gorgeous. I absolutely love these glitters. I'm currently in glitter jail. I had to put myself in glitter jail. But when I get out of glitter jail, I'm going back and buying so many. I've got no flash. Bam. One coat. Stacy, you've never made one, so you'll have to give it a try and then let me know if this tutorial was helpful. You learned anything along the way. Anything you did or anything you do different on yours when you try your first one. Alright. So on this again, I'm just starting and pulling, but I'm also making sure I've got a nice thick coat of Mod Podge at the rim of the cup. One thing that I do really like about using these flat brushes instead of the foam brushes, even if you have one that is the same width or close to the same width, is you don't get the bubbles with these that you do sometimes with the foam brushes. Foam brushes or bubbles can cause an issue with your glitter coverage. Your bubbles pop, and then you have gaps or little spots where your glitter isn't there anymore because the Mod Podge bubble busted. So that's just my opinion. Something I've observed using them. But I do still use them for various things from time to time. They're just so darn cheap. So I'll buy them and use them. Awesome, Stacy. I can't wait to see it. And some people love the look of the plaid tumblers, but hate making them. I find that as long as I'm in the right headspace, as long as I'm down for it, I find painting the Mod Podge in the little squares pretty therapeutic. And you know, I've timed myself. I don't normally time myself, but I timed myself when I was doing this one. And because I just had to do the one coat, I sat down and from start to finish, taping off and then applying the glitter, and knocked it out in an hour. So it's really not too shabby. All right. Now we're not done with this color yet. off. Tape lines. All right. So this is where you gotta make sure that you're putting the right colors in the right places. Now I've seen some people that from this point on, they will skip to their final color. I don't do that personally. Just I like to do all of one color at once before I move on. But if it's easier for you to keep track, you can do your final color, and what you'll do is you'll put them in between that second color. So your first color and your last color never touch. They're never side by side. Well, I guess they do touch at an angle, but they're never side by side. So if I was going to skip, I would do that, but I personally don't. I go through and do all of color 2. So this is the part where having a brush that is close to the width comes in handy, because we're gonna have to be creating our own lines across. So the fewer times, because I will dab and then dab, so the fewer times that you have to go across, the easier it is to be even. So I can just do boop and boop, and I can use it to line up, and I can get a straighter line that way. Just keep going around. Oh no, Kim. But hey, welcome. What time zone are you in? Just out of curiosity. I am loving this color combo. Got a little wonky. Yeah, out of all the plaid cups I've done, I've never actually glittered a buffalo plaid. Is that weird? I feel like that might be weird. Right. One more set of this, and then we are on to our third and final color. This step of squares always takes the longest for me because you have the fewest guides. But it still doesn't take very long, all things considered. Spot I need to add there. Yeah, and if you see any little spots as you're going around doing your other colors, what I like to do instead of using my brush to try to apply, I just take a little bit of Mod Podge and just pat it on. I don't end up with as much glitter transfer when I use my finger as when I've tried to use a brush. All right, looky there, it's so pretty. All right, bag this up. Now, this last step that we just did is also the step where you're going to run potentially into issues with glitter contamination into your other color. So because this is the only time that we are applying our Mod Podge and our glitter with exposed stainless, static cling is real. So if you really want to make sure that your last color is true, you may want to either let it sit dry and then use a chip brush, or if you're like me and you're okay with it, just a little bit of strategic chip brushing is fine by me because of the colors that we're using. And I don't mind a little bit of blending on mine. But yeah, especially if this is your lightest color, and you just really want to make sure that those lines are crisp and that color is pure, then just wait for your Mod Podge to dry entirely, and then take your chip brush and just lightly go over the entire cup and get all of the excess glitter off. Then you can pick up where you left off on this final step. Right, so that's better. So we can now say, see you next time, to Plum Passion. See, I did not get enough of this Plum Passion on here. Look how gorgeous it is. I love it. I love it, I love it, I love it. Okay. And final color is Copper Kettle. The Frank's Red Hot of glitters. Because it's perfect with everything. We'll put that shit on everything. All right. Need to decide what color my bottom is gonna be. Thinking it's gonna be the onyx. I normally do whatever is in the those first squares. I normally do that on the bottom. So see, even with me doing these colors back to back, as soon as I knock this off, see, I'm not having any of these glitters travel and stick in there. And you know, there may be one or two little flakes, but they're really just on the top. They're not adhering. So when I go over and remove all excess glitter later, after all my Mod Podge is dried, with this chip brush, any of those strays will just brush right off. What happens when you get this awesome coverage glitter and you get a good application of Mod Podge? I think my husband is once again watching The Walking Dead upstairs. He got caught up on like the last 2 episodes that he hadn't been watching regularly, and now he's going back through and is watching all of them all over again. He used to go through and watch every episode and get caught up right before the new season aired, and then would keep up and watch those every week. But it's just been going on for so long that it's kind of hard to do. Are any of y'all Walking Dead fans? Personally, it got a little stale for me. But my husband's trying to get me back on board with all the new characters. Or the newer main characters. Because apparently while I haven't been watching, there's been some openings for main characters. Man, that copper kettle just pops on here. So on my other one, I have a little different kind of bling that I'm gonna put on there. So I actually have some nail art too. That I'm going to use. Now, word to the wise, because I learned this myself, while the nail art tape is really easy to work with on epoxy tumblers, it does not do well on painted tumblers. So I originally, before I stripped my my spray painted buffalo plaid, I thought I could help with some of my lines that were not good at all by kind of trimming out the squares with this, but it would not stick for the life of me, especially in this curve right here. But I did try it out on this epoxied one and it stuck no problemo. So I don't know if one of you knows a secret trick that I don't know about it, but make sure you've got a layer of epoxy on before you try to use your nail art tape. So I've got a wonky square right there. You can see where my brush was at too much of an angle. So I'm just going to go ahead and correct that right now and dab and then it'll straighten out. So I'm just gonna fix it right here and now with this new color of glitter. So it'll straighten it out a bit better, but dabbing, not brushing. Otherwise you'll really contaminate. And da 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 da! Look at that. So I bet I probably started glittering around would you say, 6:15? No, probably like 6:30. So even with me running my mouth, still glittered that in its entirety in under an hour and a half. Not too shabby. So now I'm gonna glitter the bottom. I said I'm probably gonna do that the onyx, but for those of you keeping track, so we used onyx, copper kettle, and plum passion. One coat, no base coat. And look at that. Look at all that bling. All that bling, all that bling. And this gold on this one, which is amazing, and you absolutely need to add it to your collection. This amazing holographic gold, Thanos' Gauntlet, totally awesome name. So, like I said, this is one coat of epoxy. So I'm just going to show you real quick what I was talking about with this nail art tape, which I got a set. It has like 40, 50 of these for a couple dollars. That's how much it is. But it had solids, it had some holographics. So I found a holographic copper and a holographic gold that I wanted to add some pinstripes to. So I'm just going to give this a quick sanding. This is 220 and then 320 sanding block, in case you were curious. And then I do like to finish up with a 4 to 6. Needed, and go higher than that just to make sure it's smooth. If I'm doing one of the holographic or metallic vinyls, or if I'm using HTV, I will go higher if it still has some bumps, because that shows up a lot more. That vinyl shows up a lot more imperfections. Okay, so let's do copper first. So I want the copper to run through the gold and copper. So I'm going to find my tiny edge for this tiny tape. And then I'm really just going to eyeball it. Where did my scissors go? There they are. I think it just sticks right on. So then I'll go through and trim off all my ends. Then I'm gonna take my gold and run it through these. I might go through and do some more, I don't know. See what this looks like first, and then if I feel like it needs more, and then just roll this around. But yeah, this stuff is going to be great to add those extra lines for lots of different plaid styles. And then just go and line it right back up. So see? Doesn't that look cool? So yep, so I'm gonna keep working on this, but I will let y'all go. Thanks so much for joining me for the plaid glitter tutorial. Again, every single glitter used here today, courtesy of Blue Spring. I'm going to leave their website as well as the promotional code for your 10% off pinned on the video. But you can also find them as well as all of our other affiliates in the affiliates unit. So it's right on the left hand side underneath discussion is units, and just a few down is our affiliates. So there you can see glitter mail that we received to show off those fantastic colors that the admins have. But if you scroll all the way down towards the bottom, you will see the individual post for Blue Spring and their bling. So it is www.bluespringdesigns.com, and it is GlitterFriend19 for 10% off your entire purchase. So thank you for awesome glitters, and I will post more pictures once these are done. Thanks, Dawn. I'm gonna keep working on this nail tape. And then on another one, just while I'm throwing ideas out on adding these little stripes, you can also get this double-sided tape and use for it. For those of you that didn't see, this candy cane cup, I did 2, and these were done with double-sided tape. They're pretty cool. Alright guys, thank you again, and I'll see you later. Bye.